Here's the new Harley Benton ST20 I rebuilt. Redressed the frets, got some new tuners on it, new rolling string trees. The nut was actually cut really well, so I just left that alone. The bridge, I got a replacement for the bridge, but it didn't line up with the hole, so I'm gonna get another one. Or considering this one isn't too bad, actually, I probably might just put a new heavier block in it. And I put the electronics and pickups in it from, I don't know if you can read that, it's so faded and worn out, but they're 1993 Fender lace sensor pickups from an old Strat I have. Put new pickups in that and put those pickups in this, and I really like them. I've always liked them, but the bridge pickup is terrible. That's usually the case at all Strats, though. I prefer humbuckers at the bridge, even though I love the single coils of Strats. The first two, they're my favorite tone. Okay, so we're going to look at two ways to extend the pentatonic scale. One of them is very much for beginners, and the other one's quite a bit more advanced. The first one is extending the standard pentatonic scale to this. And if you already know that, it's 3 different boxes. We won't go into that. We'll try to ignore the theory and all that. But it's 3 the most common pentatonic boxes. But for now, we'll just look at it as octaves, because I think it's much simpler to see that way. So right here, and then your blue note. You got the same exact thing here, just an octave up. And then here, the exact same notes. So it's 4 notes out of your pentatonic. Out of the 5 notes of the pentatonic scale, that's 4 of them. And then your blue note. And that's kind of what I would practice, just to get your fingers used to those positions. Like when you see like Stevie Ray doing like those kind of licks, that's all he's doing is coming down to this box here and hitting these notes an octave down. And they're just an octave up right there. So what I think would be best to practice is play a blues lick here where you would normally play it in A minor, and then play it here too, and then here, until your fingers just get used to those positions. And then you can start doing like call and response things, like start a lick right here and then end it in a different spot. And that's about it. Just practice those octaves, and it just gives you a lot more variety and different tones to play in your pentatonic scale. And there's only one note to add to have the entire pentatonic scale, and then in A, that note that is missing is the E note. So, and there's your blue note. And then here, your E is. And then here is your E note for this part. So now you got 3 spots to play your entire pentatonic scale. And that should help you go a long way if you don't already know that, to inventing and creating new ways to play your blues licks. Now let's get into the more advanced way to extend your pentatonic scale, and that's by going diatonic, which just means the pentatonic scale is 5 notes, and back to your root. But diatonic scales are 7 notes, and for this lesson we're going to look at the 3 notes per string. And if you recognize that, that's just the major scale. So it's 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, and then 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. And that's just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale. that is the G major scale, and we won't go into the theory, but the G major scale is a Dorian mode. So it's just an A minor scale. The exact same scale works for A minor. So that gives you all those notes you can add in to your blues scale, which if you just start doing stuff like that, it doesn't sound bluesy anymore. So what we want to try to get is to do that same type of thing where you do a lick here, and then instead of just going, you go like that kind of thing. And that was just hammer-ons up and back down the scale. Hey bud, my puppers. So I just did that legato, just picking one note and then hammering on the rest. So I'd be like something like that, and you can do that with these notes of it too, of the diatonic scale. So it, oh, if I play it right. And you can also add these notes in from the diatonic scale, from the G major scale, which is A Dorian, but we don't need to care about that. And you don't want to stay in the diatonic scale for too awful long because sorry, my dog is panting and shaking the camera. He was out running, it's like 100 degrees out, so he's pretty warm. So that's really it. Just take the notes out of that scale, and there's a good one that gives you a real dissonant feel, and then you resolve on the root note. I think it sounds good. I don't know. But if you haven't used those techniques to extend your pentatonic scale, I think they'd be really helpful, because it just gives you a lot more options, especially if you're just starting out using the different octaves. That makes your playing much more versatile and gives you ways to get around the neck too. Like if you're just on a recording and you're doing like, to me it doesn't really sound as good, or certainly not better than just using the blues scale. But if you're playing live, it impresses people when you start playing scales like so. And it doesn't sound bad, it sounds good. It just keeps you that minor feel. But I'm usually just playing in the pentatonic, and then I just throw in a couple notes here and there from diatonic scales. And if you want to learn some really good playing out of the modes and still keeping the blues feel, Joe Bonamassa is phenomenal at that. He'll throw diatonic scales into his blues all day long and keep it sounding like the blues. Me, if I start playing too much diatonic, it doesn't sound like the blues at all. It just sounds like scales, because I'm no Joe Bonamassa. So, well, there's only one of him. Alright, well I hope that helped you out a bit, and take care. See you again in the next lesson.